Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets. With your Money and Markets week ahead, what to watch on Wall Street. Could be another interesting week on Wall Street for initial public offerings as other big company plans to go public. I'll get to that here in just a second. Investors are also going to get a look at some data on home sales and sentiment in the manufacturing and services sector of the economy. I'm going to touch on that as well. Here are some things that investors will be watching for next week on Wall Street. On the IPO front, there is one notable initial public offering scheduled for this week. Palantir Technologies is expected to trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol PLTR. It's expected to list on the exchange on September 23rd. What's interesting is that the company is going to go public with a direct listing and won't be using any investment banks to underwrite it, very similar to what Slack Technologies Incorporated did when they released their IPO. Now, the company is made its name for developing defense and intelligence analysis software, but has also marketed a central operating system for siloed data. Its software is used in about 150 different companies by governments and industries. Its government sales are mainly confined to Western-based governments. Their CEO recently did an interview where he said that they would not sell to any companies, like any countries rather, like China, or those who did not believe in Western liberal democracies. Investors have already dropped about $2.3 billion, including UBS and Disruptive Technology Solutions. According to its S-1 filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the company's total revenue for the 6 months ending in June of 2020 was about $481.2 million with an M. That's a 49% increase over the same time a year ago. In 2019, the company's total revenue was right around $742 million. Palantir has also grown its profit margin over the last 6 months. For the first 6 months of 2020, its profits were about $348 million. That's a 57.5% increase over the same time a year ago. And for all of 2019, the company reported profits of around $500 million. However, and there's always a but, the company has actually yet to turn a profit. In terms of its IPO, the company is notoriously secretive. There's no price range for the offering, nor is there an expected amount of money to be raised by it. So it makes it a little odd in terms of a typical IPO where you have a price range and a particular amount of money that you hope to raise from that price offering. In this instance, there's none of that. You look at the S-1 filing, you look at other news reports, and there is no range whatsoever for this one. It could be kind of all over the place when it does come out on the 23rd. To add a little context of the IPO front, if you remember, Snowflake, a data storage and analytics company, went public last week, reached a valuation of $80 billion on its first day, making it the largest software IPO in history. However, the next day, it opened down nearly 10%. Looking at the data dump for next week, the National Association of Realtors will release their existing home sales report for the month of August on Tuesday. This report tracks the sales of existing homes, not those under construction or new homes. The new home sales report will come out on Friday. Now, in July, existing home sales rose about 24.7% over the previous month. It was the second consecutive month for significant sales gains in the market. On Wednesday, IHS Markit will unveil their Purchase Managers Index for both manufacturing and for the service sector. This is a survey of managers in both those fields to determine overall sentiment in the market. In August, the manufacturing index was about 53.1, showed a slight increase in sentiment. A reading of 50 or above in any of those indexes indicates an expansion, while 49 or below will indicate a contraction rather. August reading was slightly lower than the 53.6 initially projected for the month. The services index was a bit stronger at 55 for August. Weekly jobless claims will also be released by the Labor Department on Thursday. And to finish off the money markets week ahead, here's a look at some key earnings reports due out next week. On Monday, Pintech Technology Holdings will release their earnings. On Tuesday is probably the biggest day for earnings by far this week. Aurora Cannabis. Now, remember, I covered Aurora in a recent episode of our Marijuana Market Update. You can watch that by clicking on the link that we have in the story. They will be reporting earnings on Tuesday, along with AutoZone, Nike, and Stitch Fix. So Tuesday is probably the biggest day of the week in terms of the earnings reports coming out. On Wednesday, Cintas Corporation and General Mills Incorporated will release their earnings. On Thursday, CarMax and then discount retailer Costco Wholesale Corp, along with Rite Aid, the popular drugstore, will release earnings. And then on Friday, just one of note, it's Natuzzi SPA. It's an Italian company that specializes in furniture. They will release their earnings on Friday. That's really about all I have for this week, for the week ahead. So make sure you tune into all of our videos on YouTube. You can check out the Marijuana Market Update that comes out every week, as well as our Bull and Bear podcast. If you do have any feedback, comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, you can reach us at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. We'd love to read what you have to say. Got a question of the week for our marijuana market update listeners in terms of why do you invest in cannabis stocks? So by all means, email us. Love reading that feedback. Or you can also let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also make sure you click the little bell that comes up after that so you can get notified every time the new video comes out. That way, we usually post these videos about a day or so before they come out on moneyandmarkets.com. So if you click the notification bell and get notified, you'll actually get a heads up as to when those videos come out, and you can actually watch those videos before anyone else. So if there's any action you want to take or anything you need to plan out in terms of your investing strategy, you can do that immediately rather than wait the next day. All the information is pertinent whether you do it on that day or the day after, but just if you want to get a jump on things, you want to make sure you subscribe and get notified. You can listen to the Bull and Bear podcast on any of our podcast syndicators, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, soon to be Amazon, and many, many others. So make sure you do that as well. So that's all for me. I'm Matt Clark, a research analyst for Money and Markets. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.